Welcome, everybody. Josh, your RV nerd of Bishop's RV here at my Coldwater, Michigan hometown superstore. And this is a floor plan. It's kind of one of those, like, it might be the last fifth wheel you ever need sort of models because it gives us that big, expansive rear living room, maximized campsite windows, dual power awnings, standard dual whisper ducted air. Both air conditioners have a noise reduction system on them, so you're not going to hear them crank up and roar like Katy Perry. But also, this has it has a middle loft with kind of a flex den below, so it could be used certainly as a middle bunkhouse. It could work very effectively for that. You could leave the middle room set up for sleeping all the time until it's time to close the slides up for travel mode, but it could also work as something like a middle second living room, a middle bonus room, like a little game day cave. It could be a she shed or a man cave, as it were. It could be a little gamer station. It could be an office. That's the thing. This RV could be a little bit of anything you want. So if you've got a couple kids who are maybe teenagers, it has a loft that can fit larger teens or adults. But at the same time, if they're going to move up and move on in a couple years and you're buying something right now, this is an RV whose purpose and use can change and evolve over time. You know, if you need a pet room, if you need a craft room, it could do all that stuff. Now, being a Jayco, it's doing the Jayco things like the double length warranty. You got a 2+3 year warranty, 0 to 100 degree rated package. And this model is one of the Eagles that actually has 6-point auto leveling to give you the extra stability because it is big enough, long enough, and heavy enough. And that almost sounded like a Stuart Smalley affirmation because you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Anybody else remember that from Saturday Night Live? Anyway, like any RV though, it's got positives, it's got negatives, but this thing has a lot of cool stuff going about it. But I want to go through and show you all the ins and outs and show you where it shines and maybe where it doesn't, and be fair and candid with you to help you decide if this is the right one for you or not. And if you appreciate that kind of approach, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the meantime, let's get in there. So let's get going here. Keep in mind this is a long RV, and typically the length of an RV also helps give you an idea of the length of a video because there's just more to talk about. Not to mention being an Eagle. Eagle's a very well-detailed brand. And the thing is, Jayco has been quietly creeping back up the consumer satisfaction index ratings. They're a brand that's been around for a very long time, and they're one of the very few I would call legacy brands that has managed to remain extremely relevant in the RV marketplace. And I think a lot of that is just from basically putting in the work, just doing the work and doing the things that need to be done. And one of the things that they started doing, and a lot of other brands have quit doing, is their quieter air conditioning system. Eagle was one of the very first fifth wheel brands to standardize dual air. And they use a double whisper ducted system. Like you might notice you don't see the air conditioner. You see those two little, it looks like air vents off the left and right side. That's actually your air intakes right there. And by splitting the system like that, it drowns out so much more noise. Not to mention they're using Coleman Mach air units, which are already a little bit quieter. And their ducting system also seems to do a good job. Now, I've only got battery power available. I don't have the air cranked on, so I can't give you a good audio sample of that. But the fact is, on a video, the way that YouTube even does audio equalizations, so it's very hard on a video to get an idea of how loud or how quiet something truly is. If you get a chance in person, see if you can get the RV plugged in and fired up and listen to one, because I think this will be a case where hearing is believing, essentially. Now, this one gives us all the campsite window coverage in the world, and they are very good about making these all open for airflow. Notice how they've got them all nicely, like, wood framed out, also with blackout roller shades, so that if, like, I'm in southern Michigan right now, and it's like 50 degrees. It's not super hot outside, but if you're where it's screaming hot, you want to pull those shades down to really drown out the noise. That ceiling fan up top is also really nice for keeping some air moving around the RV. Now, this is like the default couples camping living room, even though this RV could be used as a family model. What I mean by that is we've got the opposing super slides with a theater seat facing straight across from the TV right here. And that's great, but I think they do a really good job. They give us a nicely sized smart TV. I don't think you could shove a bigger one in there if you tried, not without breaking it. And, you know, they don't mount the TV all the way up at the top of the slide. They've got the space heating Tootsie Toaster below. But I also like to point out things that maybe you won't like the toe stubber kitchen slide that we have over here. That could be problematic for some people. And if it is, I respect that. There's definitely going to be other builders who make a layout like this that do opposing floor flush slides. They may have other advantages. They may have other drawbacks. That's, every RV is the best for a different reason, is really the thing. Now, one of the things that Jayco changed this year in all of their fifth wheels is they have crafted an entirely new heating system that isn't exactly found anywhere else in the industry. At a glance, it just looks like they took the heat vents out of the floor, and that was the primary goal they were looking to accomplish. But there's two ways to do that, and there used to only be one. Jayco created way number two. It used to be if you used effectively like dryer hose ducting, you could put the heat vents in the cabinet sides and you could get them out of the floor. The trick with that is you lose about 30% of your airflow and you end up with hot cold zones in the RV. You end up with a colder floor. So like if you don't want to walk around with slippers all the time, they may not work. What Jayco came up with here is their own unique system where the heat ducting is actually still run through the floor between the floor joists below the 5/8 tongue and groove plywood floor decking. Not a laminated floor that could become a spongy trampoline floor. And they've created custom offshoots that don't cause a reduction in airflow efficiency that still allow for a ductless flooring system. Now, that's a very long explanation, but the problem is you can't see any of that, so I have to kind of go out of my way to really break it down and explain it. Now, their booth over here, I do like the fact that it gives us doors for the storage underneath, and you might notice it's very much a no-knee knocker version of a Dream Dinette system right there. So that could fold down into a bonus sleeper, has a little bit bonus storage. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to go through and start showing you all the secondary bonus functions and storage of this RV. One of the first things I want to point out, though, is over here at the theater seat. So Jayco has gone to all cloth touch. They've gotten rid of all the pleather that was cracking and peeling and flaking out of their RVs, and they went to an all cloth touch design right here that basically has the maximum amount of essentially like scotch guarding and stain repellent stuff that you can get legally. Like they use the maximum legal amount before it's considered a toxic hazard. So that you don't end up with stains and all this stuff right here. And as you likely suspected, that is a wall-hugging theater recliner. Now, if you don't like that hard fixed middle storage console armrest, all like the left seat, the right seat, the middle section, they can be split. You could convert that into a love seat if you wanted. You'll have a little bit of space on either side of the armrest, or you could move that center console armrest off to the side to fill that space, whatever kind of works for you. Now, this is all pocket screwed lumber core cabinetry. You don't have staples holding beaver puke together, as some people like to say, which always makes me laugh, by the way. The cabinets also all have hidden hinges and magnet holdbacks. Now, back here at the sleeper sofa, this, man, visually, it looks wider to me than some other ones. I'll see if I can get you some dimensions that we can include on screen for you there. Hopefully I don't forget to do that. Notice the side stands, though, where those power outlets are located. They're right up high next to the stand itself, so that you don't need like a 6-foot power adapter cable just to like charge your phone or something like that. Now, the TV, as you can see, can obviously pivot around here, but what's easy to miss is how there's storage both above and behind it. Now, you may notice too, you see the white power outlets, how some of those have, the black power outlets have white stickers on them, kind of glaring out through the darkness. That's because the certain outlets are inverter prepped on this. This RV is wired to handle up to a 2,000 watt inverter. But if you wanted to go to like big, super stupid mega inverter, you're going to have to rewire a bunch of stuff. And as you may have guessed, by virtue of the fact that that TV can pivot around, means that it's also very guest friendly. Or if you're the type of person who likes to just kind of hang out back here on the rear sofa, you may notice in the reflection, I'm sitting on the armrest currently just because it's a shorter way down and a shorter way up for me, which is easier for making these videos. This is a very like conversation corner friendly kind of TV arrangement, which I personally prefer. While we take a look at the rest of the kitchen storage, it occurs to me that somebody might watch this video and go to some RV parts kind of be like, yes, I would like a big super stupid inverter, please. And these people are just going to roll their eyes like, yep, we got another Josh watcher, guys. which is different from bird watching. Josh watching, by the way, is when you go to Walmart and you look for the people to put on their shoes, then their socks. You're like, hey, there, I found a Josh, guys. Look, there's one over there. Anyway, back to the point. Big, did you notice big oven in this? And 4-burner stovetop, a little bit more kind of sort of household residential in style. Moving on from there, we do have the new larger 12-volt. There used to be a whole bunch of different refrigerators used in the RV industry. 12-volt fridges seem to have become dominant. Now, the way that I have that set, I don't know that it's super obvious that it actually is 2 different freezer drawers, essentially, with the big full-size refrigerator above. And then you are met with just a monster wall of storage. I think I would prefer it if it actually ran all the way up to the ceiling line, but it doesn't. Some people like to call those dust collectors, and I think I get it. I don't think I'm criticizing them by any way. Ooh, I'm noticing something here. Your converter fuse box, where it's located, I can't remember. I think when you close the slide off, I don't know if you can access that. That might be a point of concern and or consideration for some people. But in a few minutes here, I will close the slides up and we will find out for sure if we can get back there. So if it's bad news, I'd rather you find out now versus after you buy it and spent lots and lots of money, you know. There is a table and chairs option swaption, if I'm not mistaken, available for this as well. And this is one of those like 5-piece multi-thing smart sinks, I think they're called, where it's got like the veggie dish rack and everything. That's just all tucked away in a box, you know, when it ships from the factory, and we bust those out for our owners. I love the fact that they actually include not just the space, but actually include the wastebasket for you. It's those little details that I appreciate from a manufacturer. You might notice, you might hear this cabinet kind of thunk. If you put some of those little rubber stoppers on the corners of that door, it will greatly reduce that kind of clonk sort of impact. And I don't know, I think that was CLONK. Clonk. It sounds about right. It's kind of like like Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. Wrong lever, Kronk. Anyway, that is to this day one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love the movie The Emperor's New Groove. It does not get the credit it deserves. Now, while I was busy getting way off topic, something I should have pointed out but didn't is over here in this, I'm going to call it the coffee maker corner. You don't overtly see power outlets. You might notice the black outlets under the overhead cabinets. It's not my favorite location for them, but at least you know they're there. There's also power outlets under the overhead cabinets on either side of the microwave. And I like that that stovetop is symmetrical, so you know you can stir your mac and cheese and you can tilt the pan handle either way you want, effectively. Pot handle? That sounds, I don't know, wrong. Anyway, one of the cool things here, for power conservation purposes, I need to turn off some lights. But this RV's smart system makes that very easy. You will find different versions of this controller throughout the RV. You can always control everything off your phone, but each pad is going to do different stuff. Like this one is overlooking the campsite of your RV. So you can push one button to turn on all the lights on the outside of your RV to be like, what was that sound? Was that a raccoon or was that a gas station murder hobo? What come and get me? You know, you can keep a better eye on that. Now you can perform all of those functions here, and both in the app and off this touchpad, you can utilize the dimmer functions that are available here. I just don't do a lot of those necessarily on camera. This system is also very cool, where if you want to open your awnings right here or your slides, you can choose that right off this pad and not have to go through the whole thing necessarily to get to it. Now, this is what I was saying. Whoop. I'm kicking the gas strut on the entry door step. Sorry about that, but about scared the bejeebies out of myself. A lot of people are just going to call this a mid-bunk, and this sofa can fold out into a sleeper. I'll certainly show that to you in just a minute here. But because they didn't try to shove an additional bed into here, I kind of feel like it has more of a second living room, almost a den kind of function. And real quick, just in case you're curious, they do have heat ducted in here, and you do have AC ducting in here. That's actually what this is right here. That's pumping the cold air down into this little room. And it's only one vent, but this might be as small or maybe smaller than the bathroom. There's not a lot of cubic foot of space in here that you really have to worry about cooling, so it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot to get it done. One thing I will say, though, is It feels like the lighting is just slightly lacking in this room. Like, it feels like it could be a little bit more, a little bit bigger. Now, just like the living room hide-a-bed sofa, this one's a little bit more narrow than the living room sofa, but it's roughly the same length. These are not like a queen length. In a way, though, it's kind of nice because if you're going to use this space like a desk over here, it leaves you room for a chair. Now, by default, it doesn't actually include a chair, but you could certainly add one. I think if you get the table and chairs option, one of those works really well in here. The middle room in this does not include a TV the way that like a North Point would. If you're kind of curious, North Point is basically Eagle plus. It's like if the Eagle has a master's degree, then North Point has a doctorate. Does that make sense? And I cut the video because I was wanting to walk over here and open the cabinetry. Okay, nothing's damaged. That hit a lot harder than I thought. What I was saying is you have to open the cabinetry up. I was going to open the cabinetry up, but then I discovered it doesn't have any sort of strut. So it's there, but it's, we'll say gravity friendly. So again, even if I'm a klutz, even if it's not positive, I'll take some time to show you on camera here. I do like the quadruple plywood drawers down here. Part of me wonders if that left-hand drawer over here, would that be, I mean, a drawer is never a bad idea, but it almost feels like it should practically be a laptop slide-out tray, but or like a keyboard tray. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for stuff that isn't there, doesn't need to be there. As we're walking out, though, this gives us a dead-on view of the entry door. And one of the things I want to point out is it's wider, it's taller, which is nice, and it has a full window. It doesn't have a privacy shade, but effectively, if you know, that door is shut, that window doesn't exactly look at much. Anyway, so back out here in the hallway, heading upstairs, I have a love-hate relationship with the location of this ladder. I like that the ladder is at the shortest climbing point, so it's the easiest access into that upper loft, but it's right at the top of the stairs, which if it's left open in the middle of the night, which you probably want to do because you put the kids to bed, if you try to come downstairs, there's a good chance you could trip over that thing and go backside over tea kettle down the stairs. Also, I like the fact that it's as short as possible because these wooden dowel rods are not barefoot friendly. Now, here's kind of a cool thing with your Jayco beds is that your bunks are always rated for 300 pounds per sleeping space. Now, this is considered a dual sleeper. That's why I took the split mattress pad and kind of stacked them up over there because one, it's been shown that like 90% of people don't actually even use this for sleeping. They use it for storage. So if you want to take the mattresses out, you can. They're not bolted down or anything. There are some easy outlets up in there if you do need to, what do I want to say? Like, you know, charge some stuff. Also, I love the fact that it just has the lights out kids kind of easy access flickety switch over here. Also, the don't roll out of bed handrail for drunken Uncle Gary is always a crowd pleaser feature. What the? I'm going to get the lights on here in a second. I forget they do this. They put a big old speaker right here in the bathroom. So I guess while you're, you know, you're taking a shower, you can crank out some tunes. That reminds me. There's something I forgot to talk about, but we're here in the bathroom. First of all, hopefully I guessed correctly. Yes! We have the backlit morning mirror, so when you wake up and you feel like a zombie, you're not exactly going to be blinded by the light. Because when that happens, in my experience, you tend to get revved up like a deuce. You know, another runner in the night. Anyway, who's your favorite version? Like, who made the best version of that, do you think? Anyway, taking a look at the space around the toilet here, it's porcelain foot flush. It's very fluffy friendly. But what I was saying about the entertainment system, this actually has totally separate indoor, outdoor entertainment centers. Taking a look at the storage here in the bathroom. So essentially, you can watch TV or listen to music inside and have it be completely separate from what you're watching or listening to on the outside of the RV. I like that kind of dual zone functionality. So if you fire up the Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, get to the chopper kind of movie, you're not going to necessarily blow away the neighbors. I've read some pretty embarrassing, horrifying stories where people turned on a variety of forms of entertainment within their RV, forgetting to turn off outside speakers. And in some of those stories, I think I'd be so embarrassed, I would probably just die. But moving on from there, I'm just going to leave a fill in the blank, and I'm going to let your imagination. Remember, I never actually said anything. You can't cancel me. Around the corner here, you might notice this big old shower doesn't have a seat, but you see where that blue sticker is. It is prepped and ready. If you want one of those kind of wooden folding seats, you can. And it is just a very easy step-in shower. You also notice I had plenty of headroom up in that thing when we were staring at the shower, and I was talking about, I don't know, Bluetooth speakers or something like that. Giving you a look at the rest of the bathroom storage on the left over here, you've got that full-on medicine cabinet. But down below, I kind of like how they did this. They gave us an open space and room for a wastebasket with a bonus drawer below. But if we zero right in on the plumbing, something Jayco has done, again, quietly, but they've done good work, is they have added water shutoff valves for their plumbing fixtures. So let's say the cold water line only to this sink, for whatever reason, develops a problem. You can shut it off without crippling the hot water line or your toilet or your shower or your kitchen or your outside shower. So you don't have to necessarily cripple the entire RV because one thing has a little bit of a hiccup. Obviously, you want to get that fixed. You want to get it addressed, but you can do so without, like I said, losing an entire trip. Now, up top, once again, remember, we have that quieter air ducting system with the Coleman Mach air unit anyway, so it's essentially double quiet. Now, the headroom that you saw in the shower is the same headroom that you see up here in the bedroom, all the way up until it tapers a little bit to the closet. I don't think that's going to be a problem. You have a choice here. You have a choice between a 70 or 72, one of the two, but a wider king bed that is 80 inches long, or you can get a 60 by 80 queen. And while smaller, it leaves more room to walk around the bed and gives you bedside stands right from the factory. And these king beds have really become the dominant thing in the RV industry. But if you get a chance, check out one with a queen in the side stands. It's really nice. But if you're like, no, dude, I'm team king. I need all the room I can get to walk around it. No problem. Now, remember the power outlets that were inverter prepped we talked about before? You've got a set of them down by the almost the floor level. I don't even know how well you can see it there on either side of the bed. Yeah, let's just keep on keeping on up here. You might notice I put it up here on purpose. This RV comes with a really nice big outside griddle. This Halo griddle system right here. I left the entire big chunky box in here to kind of help you understand and get a reference for the size and the space. This is also prepped for washer and dryer, but not necessarily exclusively a combo unit. If you wanted to, it's not for stackable, but it's for side by side. If you wanted to do a washer on one side, a dryer on the other, you could. And usually you can still maintain the majority of your hanging storage by doing it that way. Now, every person has a little bit different preferences and whatnot, so I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how Eagle do. Now, a little bit deeper look at the rest of the bedroom storage here. It's always difficult for me, I think, to try to represent the size of these dresser drawers. So I think sometimes giving you like almost a, well, not a 360, but you get the idea, giving you a look straight down here. And you have 4 of those all the way down to the floor level. So you got a lot of room for a lot of socks and underwear in there. Now, you've got an easy lift under bed storage area here. And I packed a bunch of crap down in there. Your little outdoor sink, your power cord, your swivel side stands that go with the recliners down in the living room. I kind of need to pull those out to display those. There's a lot that they have packed in here. That being said, though, we need to take a look at it also in road mode. One of the things I like to do is give you that extra information. Like, first of all, I mentioned this is a Schwintek bed slide system. And even though you can get to it in transit, in theory, you shouldn't really sleep in it in transit because that's not what the system's made for. It also occurs to me, I don't know that I ever showed you, it does actually have a bedroom sliding privacy door. Now, if we're going down the road and you hear that dreaded, Mom, Dad, I got a potty, and it's like, I can't wait. Well, you can obviously still get up here. You can get to the bathroom. You can use this for a quick little potty stop. Now, because the middle bonus room slides closed, it will block that door from opening. So that's lost. We can get up here into the loft, attic, storage, sleeper, whatever the case may be. But I do believe that is the end of our accessibility. And as I recall, your converter fuse box was right over here around the corner. I'm wondering, can we actually get to that through this narrow little space? Well, I mean, it's not awesome. It's not perfect, but in an absolute emergency, I need to replace a fuse method, you could do it. So I don't love it. I'm not going to exactly give them a ding for that. There is a little bit of a workaround here regarding this slide, though. This RV has a quadruple entry step, one of those big fold down drawbridge style 4 steps. If you can fold those steps down and you can get in this door, theoretically, you have the space available to open the campside slide out. I'm not saying that should be your ideal road mode access, but those steps stick out further than this slide. So if you're willing to do that, suddenly we gain access to things like our dining. We can get to a chunk of the refrigerator, not the whole thing. We can get to the sink, and we can get to enough of the kitchen storage where, as long as you plan on where you park, like if you find an out-of-the-way Walmart or Target parking lot or something like that where you can stay off in the corner and get one slide open, for a minimal amount of time, just enough to have a sandwich and move on, like 20-25 minutes or something like that, this could work for you. Now, I get that doesn't qualify for everybody, and that's not an ideal solution, but it is a thing to kind of think about. If that works for you, great. And if it doesn't, maybe don't buy this RV. That's okay. There's lots of different rigs out there. I just want to represent them fairly, and if you appreciate how we show you the road mode and all the storage and the extra details, like don't break your slide by folding laundry aggressively in it while it's closed, it's a thing. Hit that subscribe button. Let us know we're doing a good job for you, and we'll hop outside and keep it rolling. Now, one of the things that happens when we take an already 36, 37-foot couples camping floor plan and we mash an additional bonus bunk middle room, I think is what I was trying to say, into the middle of it, is this thing gets big and it gets heavy. It's 42 feet and change. It's over 15,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, maximum weight. So, there's probably a lot of heavier duty 3/4 tons that could do the trick. A single rear wheel 1 ton would probably make it a good fitting. But anytime you're going to talk towing and pairing up vehicles, you are always going to be best served by contacting our team and sharing like, hey, these are my vehicle specific capacities. How does that pair up with this RV? That's always going to be the best practice. Now, one of the things that you may choose to apply to the RV is a full observation camera suite because it's prepped for side and rear camera mounts on here. Now, in the front compartment, they leave you room for a generator, but Jayco doesn't offer a generator from the factory on these. If you wanted to apply one aftermarket, you could. In today's day and age, I'm betting that's solidly north of $8,000. If anybody has added a generator to the front of their Eagle, if you could kind of share in the comment section, how much that set you back, I think everybody would appreciate it. Now over here, they give you room for like 4 conventional batteries or like 2 larger ones because they added that little extra shelf over there. And again, this is one of the Eagle models that actually does have 6-point auto leveling. Many of your Eagles actually have 4-point, but this one, it is starting to get up there in the weight range. Once you get over about 15,000 pounds GVW, a lot of 4-point systems start to struggle. Now, you've got 2 different slide systems in play here. You have a Schwintek slide system on your upper deck in your bedroom, and then our lower deck over here, we have rack and pinion slides. So, actually, hold on. I think the kitchen slide on this may be something else as well. When we get around the back side of this, I'll double check the kitchen slide system. But basically, they use different slide systems in different places because different slide systems have different advantages and drawbacks. This is a 60,000 BTU on-demand water heater, by the way. So this is one where, like, if somebody's taking a hot shower and you're trying to use hot water in the kitchen, you can accomplish both. And it's not a drop frame front compartment, but it is a big front storage area right here. All of your pull valves and everything for your dumps are all located right in this space. Now, an interesting thing they started doing this year is you see those the white and the 2 gray canisters over there on the left side of the screen, and now on the right side of the screen, as it were. That's actually a water filtration system. It's a 3-stage water filter where, some campgrounds have some swampy, musky water, and it's what is the number? I'll see if I can try to locate it and ask Mr. Cousin Garrett, RV Nerd Video Editor, to add a note on screen. I can't remember exactly how many gallons, that is, but It's like, what is it, 2,000 gallons of nasty water or something it could filter out. I need to double check that. But the magnet holdbacks, the double slam latches, the things that you're going to want over here. Now this RV, where was it? It was under the bed. Or no, it's in the front closet. We saw the outside, the halo griddle that's included with it. In the pass-through, I'm going to swing you over to the right, by the way, just so that you don't get motion sick. You know what's coming. There's this whole bracket table mount system right here. That actually inserts down here into the J port. Because when you market for Jayco RVs, you take any feature and add the letters J-A-Y in front of it, and now you're done. Now it's marketed. But basically, it's a 2-inch receiver hitch that comes off the side of the RV. So you do have a place for a a griddle, a little bit of work table kind of space over here. You can see obviously Dad's medicine cabinet in that cavity right there. But I like how, because they didn't try to keep shoving stuff in here, there's some utility function space. There's some power outlets, some USB plugs. You've got some hot, cold water access down here, and it does include one of those sprayer hose kind of jobs. And I don't know if you noticed, but they put the speakers down in the skirt on Eagle RVs. There's another one in front of the baggage compartment right there, and somebody with a apparently missing their catalytic converter just screamed by. But the speakers are down low where they're not going to blow away the neighbors, which I appreciate. You've got the zero gravity stable steps where they will hold themselves in midair. And instead of talking about it, how about we take a look at that? Because after all, we're watching a video to see stuff, not just talk about it, right? I probably should have demonstrated that whole halo griddle thing. So apologies, I kind of failed you there. But again, the idea here is that this isn't going to crush you. Now, Eagle has been doing things like extended handrails to get into and out of the RV for a long time. So that's nothing new. It's a little different handrail, but doing that is nothing new. We've got our Goodyear Endurance radials on here. These are 87 mile an hour rated. Tire pressure monitoring is factory standard. You have greasable wet zerk fittings on all of your grindy kind of mechanical stuff, and the MORryde shock dampening suspension package, which is a massively underrated feature. If you want to keep your RV out of the shop, one of the first things you should be looking at is the RV's suspension package, especially if you're going to be towing the RV. Because when you're towing the RV, any violence that happens at the road level, which is literally earthquake level violence, any violence that isn't absorbed by just the tires gets translated up into every nut, bolt, and fastener into the RV, and it rattles the crap out of the RV. So anything you can do to soften that will help the RV not get banged around and not fall apart. That's good stuff. Now, we've talked about a couple things like how it's rear and side view camera prepped. This also has the J Smart lighting package. I don't remember exactly what they call it. I always remember it as signals, markers, and reverse travel. But basically, you see how you've got the double sets of marker light dots in the upper corners back here. You can see it very clearly in the upper right corner of the RV. Well, if you flip on that right-hand turn signal, those extra marker lights up top and all of the marker lights along the same side of the RV will blink with your turn signals like a semi-tractor trailer. It's baffling to me that that kind of basic safety technology is not required on like all RVs, but it's not, So that's just an extra thing that they're doing here on these Jaycos. Now, a lot of manufacturers have started doing reverse lighting, but almost no other manufacturer is doing turn signal lighting. And actually, even Jayco doesn't do it all the way through their lineup now like they did. I kind of wish they would, but they don't. Now, I said we'd come back to the slide conversation. I always forget, you actually have 3 different slide systems in play. Your middle bunk bonus room den thing and your living room super slider rack and pinion. Your upper deck is Schwintek. This is a Norco exact slide. On the kitchen area specifically, because it does kind of slide straight in and out and it's not floor flush, so they didn't go rack and pinion there. Couple other interesting little things. I've actually got a full Eagle factory tour if you really want to see a little bit more of how they come together under the skin. But let's talk solar real quick. By default, a full Eagle like this, not the Eagle HT Little Brothers, but a full, I call it Big Bird Eagle, They have a 200 watt solar package with a 30 amp controller. Now it is at least an MPPT controller, which is a more efficient charging system. That's what they call their Overlander 1 package. That's factory standard. You can get their Overlander 2 package, which adds a second 200 watt panel and a 2000 watt inverter to multiple, not all, but multiple outlets in the RV. If you want to go beyond that, that's going to be the realm of total custom DIY solar. Now, if you wanted to build an entire solar roof on this thing, we can do that kind of stuff for you. But when you start getting into that kind of solar, that starts to be really big money. And sometimes people are like, well, how much solar do I need to run the air conditioner? You're probably not going to completely offset the energy consumption of the air conditioner or air conditioners on this RV purely with solar. If that's your goal, you're going to be, even though it's a lot of money, you're still going to be a lot better off financially looking at something like a generator and not being beholden to weather circumstances. There's advantages, there's drawbacks both ways, but that's a question and a conversation that seems to happen quite a bit on these. I hope that helps you a little bit. Now the thing is, there's absolutely no shortage of builders making their versions of floor plan like this, both a little bit more basic and certainly more fancy. So I'm going to leave you a bunch of links in the description. First of all, you'll see one to double check pricing and availability on one of these, whether you're curious or whether you're serious. If you want to see what one of these things actually runs, and remember, we don't do hidden fees, so we're not going to add a go get ready prep BS nonsense fluff fee on top of that. It's just, you got to add your taxes and your license plates, but we don't pound extra stuff force on top of you. The price is actually the price. The other thing is I'll leave you a bunch of links to other builders who have made a layout like this, whether you want a Big Brother North Point or something a little bit more simplified. We've got all the different shades of all the different mid-bunk kind of floor plans in our lineup at Bish's RV. So when you're ready, we're ready. And until then, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.